Oh hi! Thanks for watching my video. Last week I went through all of the expansion packs in The Sims 4 and ranked them in order from worst to best, in my opinion. So today we are following on from last week's video and I'm going to be ranking all of The Sims 4 game packs from worst to best. Cheeky disclaimer, obviously it's subjective how good a pack is. There might be packs that I never touch that you might use all the time. So I can only rank these packs according to how good I think they are. If I've ranked a pack that you love in a low position, feel free to let me know your opinion in the comments. So, let's talk about all of The Sims 4 game packs while ranking them from worst to best. In 12th and therefore last place, we have Journey to Batuu. Full disclosure, this is the only pack I don't own, so I don't feel that I can really make any comment on what it's like to play. Based on the trailer, it looks a bit shit, but I really don't know, so it only seemed fair for me to name this one first and just get it out of the way. Moving on to the pack that I think is the worst of the packs I own, number 11, Dream Home Decorator. I don't really think this could even be classed as a game pack. It's just a load of build and buy items. I mean, the items are nice, don't get me wrong, but there's very little in terms of gameplay. It basically allows your sim to become a decorator and go to other residential lots to renovate a home for other sims. This is something you could always do in build and buy, and if you really wanted to redecorate other sims' homes while playing with the same sim, you could just type in the enable free build cheat. I'll admit that I do like the build and buy items, but that is what you pay for. So if you really like the build and buy items and are prepared to accept that there's virtually no gameplay here, you might like this pack. Number 10, My Wedding Stories. It's a cute idea, but again, I don't feel like it adds that much unique gameplay. Aside from the fact that this pack was incredibly glitchy when it released, the gameplay on offer here when it is working isn't that much different to what we already have. You could always have weddings, and you could build wedding venues using a generic or lounge lot trait. You could always make cakes, and if you had Get to Work, you could also open your own cake shop for Sims to buy wedding cakes. This game pack did introduce some wedding interactions like have first dance, walk down the aisle, gather for the ceremony, but again, most of these things you probably could have just done manually. There are a range of new wedding themed event types you can throw, which is nice, but again, I just don't think there was enough gameplay here. Enough new gameplay anyway. To be honest, I think Wedding Stories and Dream Home Decorator are about as lackluster as each other in terms of gameplay. They do both have nice build and buy stuff. The only reason why Wedding Stories comes ever so slightly higher than Dream Home Decorator is purely because you do get a new world with Wedding Stories. As far as I'm concerned, both of these packs would only be bought for the Creator Sim items and build and buy. Gameplay, not so much. Number 9, Strangerville. I like that The Sims tried something new with having a storyline to follow. I personally wouldn't be against the idea of having a storyline based game again. However, the big issue is how do you make it replayable? Strangerville is the kind of pack that you play with once, and once you've uncovered the story, you don't really go back to play it again. That's the case for me, anyway. I don't think we will get any more storyline-based games for The Sims 4 in the future, mainly because now we have scenarios. They were added free to the base game, and I actually think the later scenarios have been really good. The ones that have pre-made characters and multiple quests to complete, they kind of remind me of The Sims 2 Life Stories, which I still think is a brilliant game. So I definitely wouldn't be averse to The Sims 4 having a similar spin-off game like Life Stories, with longer, more detailed storylines to follow with a sandbox element to it as well, but I do think storyline-based spin-offs are probably going to stay in the past. So yeah, Strangerville ranks kind of low on the list because it doesn't have much replayability, and if you are a storyline based player, you can just play through the scenarios. Number 8, Jungle Adventure. I love having vacation worlds in The Sims 4, but this one really missed a trick. I'm sure there are some of you who have played this pack to death and explored all there is to explore, but for me, this one just doesn't take my interest much, and it's a bit too repetitive for me to revisit that often. I do use the world of Selva Dorada occasionally, but for me the problem is that it's so heavily themed on exploring the jungle that it's not really a go-to place to consider when sending my Sims on vacation. It seems like its real and only purpose is just to explore the jungle, which, go figure, I get it, you know, from the title of the pack. But similarly to Strangerville, that also impacts its replayability. If it were a holiday destination that just so happened to also have a jungle in it, but also plenty of other things for Sims to do on vacation, then I can definitely see myself using it more regularly, but for me, this one just gets old really quickly. I know it's only a game pack, but if you look at the older games like The Sims 3 and The Sims 2, both had expansion packs with 3 destination worlds, and each of them had multiple lots and multiple things to do. So if those packs could have 3 worlds like this for an expansion pack price, why couldn't a game pack just have 1 world like this? I think this one just isn't for me. Number 7, Outdoor Retreat. This one would probably be lower on the list if I didn't like the aesthetic of the world so much, because really, there's not much to do in Granite Falls. It was the first game pack, so maybe the Sims team were just finding their feet, but even so, more could have been added, and it could do with a serious refresh. That being said, I personally use Granite Falls a lot in my game. I really miss the vacations from the earlier games, so I often send my Sims on a camping trip to Granite Falls. It also helps that there are so many creative builders on the gallery so that I can place down a summer camp for my child Sims, and make woodland areas full of activities, and just send my Sims away on a well-deserved break. In terms of gameplay, I actually think Jungle Adventure has more on offer than Outdoor Retreat. The only reason it ranks slightly higher than Jungle Adventure is because to me this world has more replayability. Because it wasn't built for one specific activity, it's more of a blank canvas that you can use to make your own camping or log cabin experience. I do wish they'd refresh this pack though, and then add a few outdoorsy activities like log rolling or archery or something. Number 6, Spa Day. You might be surprised by how highly I rate this pack, but honestly, I really like Spa Day, even before the refresh. I just have always used it a lot. I enjoy sending my Sims to the spa for a massage or a facial, and thanks to the pack update they can also get manicures and pedicures too. I'm actually pretty sure that at some point in all of my Let's Plays I've sent Sims to the spa for a day of pampering. And with Spa Day, most of the time I know what to expect. This pack doesn't have many glitches as far as I've experienced, and I enjoy it. Another aspect of this pack I really like is that Sims are able to actually make a living from building their wellness skill. With Spa Day, Sims can be yoga instructors, massage therapists, and they can get paid for doing manicures and pedicures. Overall, I just think this is a solid pack. It is dependent on your taste, of course. I know there are plenty of Simmers that probably would never touch this pack, but I just find it quite relaxing. Number 5, Dine Out. I use Dine Out quite a lot as well. Restaurants are usually my go-to location for Sims that are on a date. You'd think with a life simulation game, a pack like Dine Out would come up on top. Who wouldn't want the ability to have Sims dine in a restaurant and even run a restaurant themselves? Well, even though this pack adds this useful feature, it does it in the most inconvenient way. This pack is so buggy and glitchy that sending Sims out to eat turns into a whole ordeal. Be prepared to wait 3 Sim hours for your food and have other Sims just sit at your table, or even have your own Sim pick up their plates and sit on the floor. This pack is a bit of a mess. If there weren't any glitches in this pack, it would be number 1 on this list. And if this pack was so broken to the point where no fun could be had at all, then it would be at the bottom of the list. Dine Out can be fun when it wants to work properly. I have had Sims several times go to a restaurant and do what they're supposed to do, and I've had Sims run a restaurant with very few issues. So there is still fun to be had, and this pack isn't unplayable by any means. It just has enough issues for it to be significantly lower on the list than it should be. Number 4, Vampires. So Occult packs aren't really my type of gameplay. That being said, I have played through all of them, and I can appreciate the work that has gone into them. If this list was all about the packs I played with the most, Spa Day and Dine Out would be just above the Occult packs. But this list is not just based on the packs I play with the most, it's mainly based on which packs I think are the best. And even though I may not use Occult packs all the time, I will acknowledge that the Occult packs do have more in-depth gameplay. Vampires have more abilities than ever before, the pack has a little bit of lore to it, and vampires have their own progression system, where they can unlock perks and develop through the vampire ranks. Which takes me on to number 3, Realm of Magic. Spellcasters are about as beefed out as vampires. The only reason why I've put them higher is because I enjoy the two worlds that come with Realm of Magic. I also just prefer using magic. I like shopping in Diagon Alley, choosing myself a familiar, and dueling other spellcasters for knowledge. You also get sages in Realm of Magic, and it feels a lot more like a wizard school. It is very similar to vampires in terms of the amount of gameplay and content you get, but I think Realm of Magic has just a little bit more. Number 2, werewolves. Not my favourite occult, but probably the best occult pack we've had so far. The world of Moonwood Mill that comes with it is pretty much an open world. There's lots of lore to uncover, werewolves are very customizable, and they have the same progression system as vampires and spellcasters. In addition to a lot of the features you get with vampires and spellcasters, werewolves can also join wolf packs, which I thought was a nice addition. And again, very similar to the other occults, but this pack has just a bit more content, so it gets a slightly higher spot on the list. And finally, at number 1, Parenthood. Parenthood was the only family life style pack we had for a while until Growing Together came out last year. And even though Growing Together has lots of family gameplay features, there are a few things that you can only get in the Parenthood pack, like dishing out punishments for kids and teens, putting them in timeout, grounding them, taking away their privileges. Basically, Parenthood, as you'd expect, gives you different ways to make your Sims parent with a hands-on approach. I also like the character value system. It seems to be one of the very few things in the game where a Sim's actions actually have consequences. Child Sims who set the table for dinner and do their homework every night will likely age up with the responsible trait. Kids that bunk off school and make a mess will end up with the irresponsible trait. Parents also get chance cards where they have to give their kids advice, and the advice given will also impact the kids' character values. So all in all, I think this is just a useful pack to have, especially if, like me, your preferred type of gameplay is family gameplay. And those are all of the Sims 4 game packs, ranked from worst to best, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my picks, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!